Okay, so today we'll be dealing with the online access and computer security. And in this chapter, we'll be dealing with, obviously, initially we'll talk about the introduction, what exactly online access and computer security is, right? And then we'll be talking about the threats to computer security. We were talking about the computer viruses. We have already discussed a bit in the previous chapters, like the Trojan horse and worms, right? We'll be study a bit more about these computer viruses in this chapter. Then the spyware, adware, all these sort of concepts we are going to study in this chapter. Then solutions to computer security threats. We'll be talking about that, and the firewall. A bit we know about the firewall. I guess we discussed in it in the previous class also. We'll study regarding this in detail in this particular chapter. So now understand what exactly your online access and computer security is. As the name suggests, online access. That means you are accessing the content which is there on the web, right? Uh, that process, that concept is basically online access. It could be anything. It could be your banking details. It could be your the content which is being uploaded there on the web. It could be anything which you search on the internet. Okay, this is nothing but the online access. There's so many other things which you talk about, which you can list, which you can make a list that these are the online access. But generally, anything which you do on the web is basically the online access. You are accessing some certain thing. You are accessing certain information. That is online access, right? Uh, and this is all possible, because of the internet, the evolvement of the internet, and but the thing is that this access has also resulted in increased security concerns. Obviously, if you just spread your areas, spread your wings, then there are certain things which we do not think of or might be think of, right? They come across to you, and if you are well aware with those, mm, problems, then you could have deal it with the proper approaches, right? So in this particular chapter, we'll be talking about all those threats which may come across to you, right, while accessing certain things online, and how do you prevent to deal with those threats. Okay, so in this chapter we are covering all these sort of topics. Now we just need to understand what are the threats to computer security. As you talk about the computer threats to computer security, we know about the computer security. Anything which you store within a system, okay, that is being, if that is being trapped, or that has been tried to be accessed by some unauthorized people, that is nothing but the threats, right? So what exactly threat is? Technically, a threat is a potential violation of security. Anybody tries to break a security, the security means the security of a system. Okay, anybody tries to break the security of a system or a network, tries to access the information which you have stored in that particular network or the system, that is nothing but a threat. So when a threat is actually executed, it becomes attack, right? And those who execute such actions or cause them to be executed, or are they are called the attackers. If you remember, I was talking about two terms. One was hackers and one was crackers. One was hackers and one was crackers. These both are the programmers. Hacker and crackers both are the programmers. Okay, and both break the security of the system. Both break the security of the system. One to gain the information, and another to destroy the information. One who gain the information are known as hackers, and one who destroy the information are known as crackers. Okay, so right now what I'm talking about in terms of the crackers, who basically uh, you know uh, execute certain actions, execute certain softwares, or implant those softwares explicitly on a system, right? Or make you force to download these sort of applications in your system. They are nothing but the crackers, right? Some common threats the average computer user faces every day are the viruses, worms, trojans, spyware, adware, spamming, PC intrusion, denial of service, sweeping, password guessing, and phishing. These are the common threats which a normal computer or average computer basically user faces. They are also known as malware as they harm your computer, right? So we'll be talking about these things in detail in this particular chapter. Then common computer viruses. As we talked about the virus, a virus is basically nothing but a software which makes the system sick as the normal virus does, right? Normal virus, uh, you know, uh, affects us, right? Get certain damage to our to we people. Similarly, or infects we people. Similarly, the computer virus are basically the malicious code of the programs that causes damage to the data and files on a system. It affects exactly the same way as a normal virus affects us, right? So obviously, what exactly we do to as a remedy, we simply go to the doctor, take antiviruses and whatever the precautions and the prescription given by the doctor is, right? Similarly here, what exactly we do, we basically do certain activities which basically can remove these viruses, right? These remedies can be done by we people, and can we can hire some other people to do the remedies for us, right? Viruses can attack any part of computer software, such as the boot sector, generally driven by the Trojan. Trojan is again a virus which affects the boot sector and the files related to operating systems. It is mainly associated with the corrupting those files. Okay, operating system, as I was talking about, system areas, right? System areas, files, application programs, macros, etc. Okay, so these are the areas where exactly the virus can attack your computer. Two other similar programs also cause virus-like effects. These are Worm and the Trojan horse. Worm is basically a self-replicating program. We discussed this thing in the previous class. That what exactly Worm is. Worms are nothing but basically the programs which replicate themselves so that they can consume more memory to slow down the system, because our system speeds depends upon two various factors. One major factor is your obviously the speed of your processor. Okay, then the second thing is basically the how much RAM is available, right? The space available to execute certain things, right? And the third thing is basically the hard disk space. you know this is also required. What exactly happens if the space consumed by these applications, okay, if the space which has been consumed by these applications, and you do not have a space to execute a new application, though the operating system has got a process that least activated application gets closed. Think of that. I'm just giving an example for two people. Think of that. If you have got uh, a memory space of, let's say, 9 MB, for example, I'm talking about. This is the total space available to you. This is 9 MB space available to you. Whenever you open an application, it requires a space to execute that, right? So let's say 1 MB, space is being utilized by the system, by that particular application, sorry. So 1 MB space has been utilized by the application, right? So this much space is available now. When you try to open a new application, obviously it will consume the memory space available, and now not out of 9 MB, now it's out of 8 MB. The space will be available. Again, let's say 1 MB space, it may be more, it may be less. I'm taking just an example. Let's say one more MB is being utilized by the next application. Again, the next application was a bit heavy, let's say, and it consumes, let's say, 3 MB space or 5 MB space or 4 MB space. Let's say 4 MB space has been consumed by the third application. So this much part is being consumed now. Okay. Again, one more application you open, and it consumes 2 MB space. Now only 1 MB is left. Another application you open, So obviously, only this much of space is required now. So this much of space is available to you, and you'll simply consume this particular memory space. What will happen if you try to open a new application? The entire memory space has been consumed by the applications, right? So what exactly will happen? In this case, what happens? The operating system has got a process that the least activated application has been closed, and the address of that application is being stored within the hard disk in a specific place called page file. Called page file. Okay. So, this is called page file. This memory area is known as page file. So it basically, closes the least activated application, and the address of this particular application is stored in page files. Now, the closing of the application, getting the memory free for the new application, and placing that application in the new memory space, it will take a bit time. Okay. Similarly, the process goes on. Okay. So it means when the memory is full, the system needs to adjust, you know, the memory for the new application, and that causes, uh, you know, uh, that basically takes needs a bit time to do that process, and as a result, you feel that the system is slow. Okay, think of that. You are talking about these applications. If this application, I mean, the memory space which is being utilized by the applications, they are being consumed by some other applications. In that case, what exactly happen? As soon as you switch on a system, the memory space has been consumed by some applications, and you don't have any space to open the application. In that case, from the beginning itself, the system will feel a bit slower, and that's why it is always recommended to keep on making use of keep on cleaning your system. You make use of defragmentator, right? And also keep on scanning your system on a regular interval of time, right? So this is the concept behind the slowdown process, or opening a new application when the entire memory space has been consumed by the all the applications. Okay. So this is not as easy as we are discussing right now. It takes a lot of time actually, and that's why our system, you feel that the system is basically going a bit slow, right? There's something like that. Your field has got only a place to play one football match, and if one more match needs to be executed, then what exactly you need to do? You just need to wait for that current match to be over, and then that space will be utilized by you. This is a simple process, something like that. The other application has to wait for the closing of the currently executed application, and that's why the system gets slower, right? And in terms of systems, even it's a delay of 1 second or 2 seconds, you feel the system is slow. What all we want the application should get executed and just single click within a millisecond, right? So that is one. The next one is Trojan horse. Trojan horses are basically a destructive program that is basically being executed by certain applications. Whenever you download, certain applications, these Trojans are attached to these applications, maybe in terms of your videos, in terms of your games, in terms of your, some other files which you download from the from the internet. These files look safe to download, but they have got the harmful effects. They've got the harmful, side effects. They do not replicate themselves, but they they can just be as destructive. They can corrupt your, boot sector. They can corrupt your window files. They can corrupt your applications. So as a result, what exactly happen? Your system, if your system's boot sector gets damaged by this virus, next time when you try to boot it, system will not be booted, right? Or you try to run an application, you try to execute an application, you try to open an application, because of that application's files are corrupted by this particular virus. So that application won't get executed for you. You know, so this is simply going to create a huge harm, a huge damage to your application, your system. The next is spyware. Spyware is a software which is installed on a computer to spy on your activities and report this data to the people willing to pay for it. Spyware mostly gets installed on a PC without your consent. Roughly 32% of the computers of the world are infected with some type of malware. Damages caused by the spyware, it compromises your data, computing habits and identity, alter PC setting, and slow down your PC. Okay, so this is very, very harmful because if you do the financial transactions, if you do certain, confidential work, and if that confidential work has been trapped or spied by some other people, so that you can understand it. Think of that you are in a designing, you are in a you are in a design department uh, of a car company. Think of that. What will happen? You are in a design, a department of a car company. So you design the new, structure of a car, right? So you have got plenty of ideas. You research so many things, and then you finally come to know that you just need to design this car in this particular way. And if your entire idea is basically been trapped by somebody else, that means before your execution, the other company will have an idea, make certain modification that, and the new product will be launched before you just think of that. How huge loss will be there in this case to you and your company? You get my point or not? So you can understand the kind of damage that can be caused by the spyware. You're doing certain activity, might be you're dealing with certain financial transactions with a bank, and your username and the password has basically been trapped by these people, and next time you see that some damage to your account in terms of withdrawal of money, or transferring data from your account to somewhere else. So these are basically been done by these spywares. Okay. uh, the next one is adware. You might have seen, various times, wherever you try to open your any of the website, plenty of ads comes in between the pop-ups you talk about, right? And sometimes they are so rude that they force you to enter your information into that. They force you to click on on that particular application, and you do not know that where exactly it will redirect you. Sometimes they redirect you to the bogus sites. They look similar to the original site, and based on the message given in that particular site, you try to enter the information, and you get trapped in that, from that particular website or these adwares. Okay, these are generally, these adverts are generally installed in a system because of your use downloading, or visiting to the unsecured visiting to the unsecured sites, right? So these are certain, the damages. These are the programs that deliver unwanted ads to your computer. By definition, they consume your network bandwidth, obviously, right? And adware is similar to the spyware. You have to be very careful while installing a particular software. Damages caused by the adware. Adware tracks your information just like spyware, displays arrays of annoying advertisement, right? And slow down your system. Obviously, you are working on a very important project, and think of that. Lots of these pop-ups comes into the picture, and you just invest your precious time to just up, closing these pop-ups, and getting annoyed with these pop-ups actually. So they distract you also. Sometimes they redirect you to the Google site, and and that close button is somewhere else within the screen, but you do not, you need to just see that. You need to search for that where exactly the close button is. Okay, so this is very, very dangerous, a thing for you, for a system, right? Then spamming refers to sending of bulk mail by an identified or unidentified source in malicious form. The attacker keeps on sending bulk mail until the mail server runs out of the disk space. Okay. Damages caused by the spamming. The spam reduces productivity. You just need to, go through with these many mails every time. Spam eats up your time, obviously, right? If you just keep on looking on these mails, the bogus mails which are right, so they eats up your time also. Spam can lead to the worst thing, right? For example, a mail is there, and with a lot of frustration, you click on a particular mail, and it sometimes what exactly happens, they that software gets installed in just one single click. You know, software means the virus I'm talking about. So that way, the spamming is sometimes very very harmful to your system. Then PC intrusion. Every PC connected to the internet is a potential target for hackers. Every PC. Okay. So PC intrusion can occur in any of the following form. The sweeper attack. This is another malicious program used by the hackers which sweeps all the data from the system. And the next one is denial of service. This eats up all the resources of the system and the system comes to the halt. The next one is password guessing. Most hackers cracks or guess passwords of the system accounts and gain entry into the remote computer system. And that's why, if you remember, during the quiz, for the previous chapter, one question was there that you should not use your date of birth, your name, your locality, your area of interest should not be there as of a password, because the people who are sitting there to guess your password, they know the normal human psychology. They are obviously the intelligent people, and they know the human psychology, and accordingly, based on the data which is being there, because your data is there outside. Whenever you enter any information onto the web, that data is outside, and you do not know how many people are using that data. Maybe as a student, your data is not vital to those people actually, but one day when you become a celebrity, when you become the popular person, that data will become a vital to those people. Okay. So that's why, maybe right now you may feel that whatever the information you are posting or submitting to the web, that doesn't affect you actually. But obviously, after 4 years, 5 years, 6 years, 7 years down the line, you will reach to a position where all these sort of activities may trouble you, right? So please avoid, posting any information which you feel like not to be posted. Ask yourself whether this has to be there, this has to be posted, this should be posted. If you feel no, then don't do it. The eavesdropping. Eavesdropping is basically the unauthorized monitoring of other people's communication. For example, I discussed this in the last class as well. That if, let's say, you are in a communication with your friend, you are communication with me. Let's say your communication with somebody else, and in the meantime, somebody traps our call. Somebody traps our communication. Okay. Maybe our communication is related to the uh, academic only. So if you are talking to me, I'll be guiding you. So if somebody gets that information, doesn't matter, because ultimately, that is a kind of information which is not going to create any sort of trouble to you as well as me. Okay. But think of that. If you're discussing on a project, again, you just need to think as a professional, or you are talking to somebody else, very confidential, you know and that information has been leaked or trapped by some other people. Okay. So this process, when somebody tries to gain access of your communication process, is basically known as eavesdropping. So unauthorized monitoring of people's communication is called eavesdropping. Eavesdropping can be carried out through all communications devices and media of today's telephone, emails, messaging, and other internet services. To prevent this, email messages have to be encrypted, and a digital signature are also effective. So the next one is phishing and farming. Okay, phishing is uses an imposter uses an authentic looking email or website to trick recipients into giving out sensitive personal information, which may later used for cyber crimes and frauds, is known as phishing. This is generally, being governed by the pop-ups. Okay, the adware I'm talking about. Sometimes these phishings comes with the mails directly to you people, and sometimes they come with like a link, and they ask you to just click on link, and that link will simply open a bogus website similar to the original website, and ask you to try to ask you to enter the information, fill the information, and maybe you'll get some rewards or something else. So you need to be very very careful while entering information in the web. Okay. uh, because that information will become a vital for these cyber criminals. And again, I'm talking about the same thing right now. Maybe your information is not so vital, but after a few years, that information will be vital for these people. Farming is an attack in which a hacker attempts to redirect a website traffic to another one, bogus websites. Okay, this process is farming, and phishing is when you have been asked to enter the information. Okay, or the authenticate lookalike email or the website that trick represent to recipient to giving out the sensitive person information. So when you submit information, that process, or to attract you people to fill out the person information, that process is basically the phishing. And farming is basically is an attack when a hacker attempts to redirect a website traffic to another. You try to say www.alkanpublicschool.com, and it tries to redirect you to some other site. Sometimes you might have feel it, you try to open a particular website, and it redirects it to another website. Maybe it's a similar site or maybe some other site, and sometimes you get attracted to that particular website, and you try to fill information or scroll down the information which is there in that particular website, right? So ultimately, what exactly it has done? It has eaten up your time. Actually, you're trying to access, or to gain certain information regarding a particular topic, and it has redirected you to some other side, and you are just investing your time, your precious time, into reading to that particular website. Okay, even if the URL is correct, it can still be redirected to a fake website. This process is known as farming. And you believe me that if you